You remember when Drake dropped If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, just absolutely out of nowhere, and it took the whole music world by storm? Yeah, this is not one of those moments. So Drake, following his formula of doing zero marketing for an album, has graced us and surprised us all with just another landmark release. Honestly, Nevermind. And honestly, for a lot of people, they're going Nevermind with this one. I mean, I've never seen an album that is more divisive amongst fans, amongst casual listeners of Drake. There's a lot of people who hate it, a lot of people who have been trashing it. There's also a lot of people who love the evolution, the growth, and the bold step forward from Drake. So where do I sit? Well, yesterday I did a live stream on Twitch. That's right, we've started live streaming on Twitch. We're going to be working through a lot more album reviews, a lot more music related content on there. If you guys want to follow the Twitch, I'll put that link below. But we sat through it, and going into that reaction, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew that it was a very polarizing album, that it divided people a lot. So I kind of went into it with lower expectations, if I'm being honest. And wow, let me tell you, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, there were moments when I was reacting to it, I was just completely lost for words. You know, we talked about Logic's album yesterday, and for me, one of the most important themes that we discuss with Logic in particular is consistency. And with an album, what is the consistency behind an album? What is the mood? What is the thought process? And does an artist deliver on his intentions? And Drake right away starts off with the intro. Very smooth, almost soulful, jazzy. I'm kind of like put into a mood and a vibe, and I'm thinking, wow, this could set up to be something just absolutely great and just really, really evolutionary for Drake. And then right out of left field, he just totally detracts from everything he was doing in the intro and falling back, and then all of a sudden just gives us a house album. Now, is there anything wrong with house? No. I mean, one of the positives and takeaways from this is that when you get to a certain level that Drake is at, you don't necessarily have much motivation to try new things as an artist. I mean, when you're that successful, when you're that wealthy, when you have that much fame, you know whatever you drop is going to do numbers. You have a formula for success. You know it works. So you could very easily just stick to that formula and stay inside your safety zone in your safety box. Or you could have the balls to try something different and to try something new. So from that perspective, I definitely got to give a clap to Drake for trying something different, for having the courage to push forward something new, for kind of setting the standard for artists to never get comfortable. Be like Kanye. Every album, reinvent yourself and do something different. And Drake definitely tried something different on this album. Now that's a concept. And see, there's a difference between concept and execution. Was the execution there for this? House is a genre. It's growing in the States. Obviously, we all know of the New Jersey house scene, but over in the UK especially, house is huge. Around Europe, house is huge. You have just some amazing house artists. Cut Snake, Martin and Royce, Camel Fat, Justin J, Armin van Buuren was one of the first house artists I was put on. I mean, there's an amazing underground scene, and obviously there's the popular ones, the Aviciis of the world, the different house artists putting on, really spreading the scene and the genre. And for someone with the resources that Drake has, you know, the production ability that Drake has, it would have been really nice to have seen him really celebrate house music and kind of put on for the scene of house. But unfortunately, you have literally like zero features on this album, except for the final song, which we'll get to, which doesn't even sit with the rest of the album featuring 21 Savage. So instead of taking the opportunity to really create more awareness for a growing genre of music and to kind of do something where, you know, you're a stranger to the house scene. And much in the same way, I don't know if this connects or not necessarily, but like a white artist coming into the house of hip hop, and when we pay homage and when we know our history, you know, when we study the greats and when we pay tribute to them through our sampling, through our music, through our choice, through our lyricism, you know, as much the same way Drake is kind of an outsider walking into sort of the house of house. And you can see that as a great opportunity to really do something different. But unfortunately, Drake just decided to kind of keep this one to himself. And that's a shame, because if he could have brought in some great house features, you know, it could have really contributed some flavor and some variety to this. What it really feels like to me, listening through this album, trying to digest it, especially yesterday, was that it just felt like an unfinished work. It really felt like a rough draft. And we talk about this, we talk about the musical process. You know, you record a track, you lay it down, you have a vibe, ideas in studio, and maybe you walk away from it. You know, you give it a week, you give it 2 weeks, you give space and time between that. And then you come back with a fresh perspective and you look at it and you go, right, how can we build upon this now? Can we change some chord progressions? What can we do differently? What different levels of instrumentation can we add just to take it from good to great? And then you go away from that. And And then maybe you come back again later and you go, right, we've got a great track. How can we make this a timeless track? How can we make this a classic? And it's a constant growth process, much like writing a paper, right? You do your first draft, you come away from it, you go back, you spell check it, you check the grammar, you think about how you presented things, you make edits, you make changes, and you keep working and working from there. I mean, honestly, what this feels like is that they just did it in one go, laid it down, walked away from it. Right, that track's good, on to the next one. I mean, there's even moments when we talk about Kanye's last album, Donda, where you play an instrumentation and you just start humming like ideas to yourself, right? They're not like you going in, recording. They're kind of like half-hearted deliveries as you're just trying to like place key holders with your voice to like give yourself ideas later on. Like there are literally moments where Drake is singing and it's almost like a placeholder. Like he was supposed to go back and give a stronger performance and like tighten up the lyricism a little bit, but he just left it as it was, which is unfortunate because there were some great opportunities for this. But unfortunately, like even with Drake's vocal performance, I feel like it was lacking. Like it was just the same chord progressions over and over in terms of the beats, the bass rides, the way that things hit. Instead of having like big switch ups and changes that house can be known for in experimentation, it feels like it's just one continuous track just split into 12 or 13 different tracks besides that. And maybe that's what Drake was going for. Maybe he wanted to go for being, atmospheric background music, but there's just so much more that you can do with the genre than what a lot of people who are going to embrace house for the first time are going to be exposed to. And actually, I did unfortunately misspeak on the features. On Currents, you do have DJ Bedsprings produce that one. It's a very squeaky, clean track. Drake kind of hits that hole, and it's very tight and polished on that one. I mean, honestly, though, I can't believe that I literally sat and listened to like 3 minutes of the bed squeaking. I mean, that just takes me back to my childhood when dad wasn't home and mom was up. Wait, what? I mean, it's honestly just uninspired. It is a fitting title name. Maybe the whole meta of this was that Drake titled the album, honestly, Nevermind. And the real kick and the real underlying theme is that that's how he feels about this album. Like, honestly, could have done more, but fuck it, never mind. This is what you get. I mean, with the monotony of some of these tracks, honestly, they sound better on mute. But there is one saving grace on this album, if I have to say. Jimmy Cooks featuring 21 Savage. It's a great feature from 21. You get the Drake in his rap bag, in his wordplay bag, the very braggadocious Drake that we all love, and it is a very good track. But unfortunately, it's the very last track on the album, and it's almost like a tease at the very end. Like, yeah, I made you sit through a whole track of me basically having sex for you to finally get to something that was enjoyable to the eardrums. And that's the thing. There's just this lack of consistency between the intro and the last track. It's so deceiving what the rest of the album consists of and what kind of the flow is through it. And I've seen some theories like, hey, Drake just wants to show that he can walk into another genre of music and basically just chart and be number one and take over because he's Drake and he gets there on namesake alone. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It does feel uninspired. There's just so many moments on this album when I felt like, yeah, that song's got a lot of potential. We could definitely go somewhere. And then nothing else happens. And there's just no further context to it. There's no more development. There's no more gear shifts to the production and changes. And I say this as a Drake fan. I say this as someone who's enjoyed watching Drake's rise to the top. I love mixtape Drake from the early days. I mean, I was an early Drake fan before he blew up, before he even got signed. I've been following Drake for that long. But I definitely feel like the last few albums, that hunger is missing to me. The earlier Drake, there was that hunger, and he had to make sure that every drop was on point, and every drop, suited his fan base, that he was growing, that he was staying himself, but at the same time, like doing enough variation, enough with the chord progressions, enough with the music styles and sounds, and showing his diversity from singing, from lacing it on the track to his rapping ability as well. And this doesn't have that underlying sense of, man, this is all or nothing. Like, this could be my last album I ever release, and I got to make sure I sit on top with it. It's just kind of like part one, and we're still sat kind of waiting for the butt of the joke or part two to happen. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it? Are you happy that Drake has tried something new? Because again, what we have to be careful of is, I'm sat here and all I can do is be honest with you. But I really do applaud him trying something different. Him trying to reach out and to branch out. It's just interesting that he chose house of all genres because it's not something that he's well known for. It's not something he really deep dove into the scene of. I mean, there's so many different directions that Drake can go. Maybe he gives us that full R&B album that everyone wants. Or maybe he just goes back to rapping Drake and just gives us like a killer mixtape, man. I don't know. It's still hard to kind of process this one and get through, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts on the album, what you think, what your favorite tracks were. If you did love it, that's okay. If you want to argue with me, hey, that's fine. Listen, music is subjective at the end of the day. If there's enough people that love it, then good for Drake. I'm glad that he did it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below and let me know. But anyways, that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you enjoy my thoughts. Hope you enjoy the content. Go follow the Twitch. A lot more music reviews, album reviews on there. A lot more content on here on YouTube as well. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay positive. I'll catch you again.